Now let's settle for the details this afternoon. Now, this afternoon, the two major political parties in Ghana are sharply divided over the Electoral Commission's proposal to have elections a month earlier than we've been used to in the last 30 years. Well, the EC wants the vote to take place on November 7th instead of the usual December 7th. The Commission, the EC, is also seeking to get the day of election declared a public holiday to encourage more Ghanaians to come out and exercise their franchise. The Commission has been convincing the parties at a crucial inter-party advisory committee meeting. But how would the political party feel about this move, considering plans have already been made for December? We hear from the Coalition of Domestic Election Observers shortly. But first, though, let's take you live to the Electoral Commission headquarters for an update. And my colleague, Michael Ashale, joining us live for some interaction. Papa Nim, if you are there, welcome to the pause here.
Thank you, Elson.
Right, so I understand that the meeting is over. We do know that it was held behind closed doors. What did you get from the meeting?
So, Elton, just as we said, clearly the political parties are sharply divided on whether to go ahead with the EC's plan to bring the elections at least 1 month forward, as we are used to. We know that regularly it's a December 7th election, but they want to bring it as in front to November 7th. But they've stated some reasons in the past that we know. The first one is that to give them ample time to be able to put measures in place, should in case we have a runoff in the elections. Secondly, again, they have heard from some of the religious groups who are pushing for this to also come forward, because they think that this year's December 7th particularly falls on a Saturday. So you have the SDA, for instance, who says that it's not a day that they want to participate in any elections, so they want you to come forward. So those are some of the reasons. But we have heard from some of the political parties. Let's start from the NDC, who tell me that, well, they are not for such a policy because they are not in a rush to get Ghanaians to change the dates that they want elections to be held. We can listen to the Director of Elections for the NDC, Edward Omani Uwama, who said that, well, the NDC as it stands is for November 7th only for the 2028 elections, which is 4 years' time.
The overwhelming consensus was that, considering all that the EC has to do between now and the next general elections, presidential and parliamentary, the EC would be biting more than it can chew as an institution if it wanted to add the needed parliamentary processes to change the date for the elections. In terms of the day of the election, it's something that we all discuss, and we are all men and women of faith. So we take issues of religion seriously. And we felt that it is something that should be subjected to a broader national discussion so that all shades of opinion can be factored into it for the appropriate decision to be taken. With all that said, for the election day being a holiday, we felt it is not really necessary, but if others think it must be done, even though we have too many holidays in the year, if others feel it must be done, it can be considered. So I would say that the overwhelming consensus was that we should stick to what we have. But the EC should not wait again like the EC waited after the 2016 elections. The EC could have pushed these reforms in 2017, 2018, and 2019, and not in an election year.
You see, on a serious note, New Patriotic Party programs are EC beye namra kwanso a ebema democracy etumpono yejitum. Parties ni nyina state on position. Ebi say yes 2024 yentwemra November. Ebi say yentwentwen so ne mfanko 2028. Yen position say EC de beba November 2024 7 yeni ho problem. Yebetwen akosi say EC be publish ne program of action eno yebi hu anamwa ebetu say me no kasa dey ma obia anko kan oba say there was consensus say my EC ensesa parties na STT position New Patriotic Party say yejitum, NDC for say omonjintum. The other issue ne say SSE edano ye train free on a holiday and ama enye holiday. And not there. Parties no sign meaning same say ebi so a holiday boy, ebi say a holiday ehun you say to the extent across the New Patriotic Party you say it could be a working holiday because the NDC for aibida. Enti the ebeboa ama obia watchro ni din so oto aba benya akwanya ato aba eno ne ade a esese ye nyina aboa na ekoso nti ene discussion no a follow up from last week discussion say decision a yisi person de ba no parties enko consult no momra ye share no parties nyina san state omo position sa enye conclusive say esese ye November 4-7 ana say bibi the war any December 7 New Patriotic Party nanke pe change said the EC can say Emra December November 7 and Kobasa.
Right, so that was the NPP Director of Elections, Evans Nimaku, explaining the party's position on the proposal by the Electoral Commission to have the date for the election moved from December to November. And earlier you also heard the NDC Director of Election, Dr. Omane Buama, also explaining the party's position as far as the proposal by the Electoral Commission is concerned. But what exactly are the issues behind the positions taken by the various political parties, the NDCs and the NPP? Let's go on the phone lines now. And then joining me is Mustafa Gbande. He's a Deputy General Secretary of the NDC. He's also be joined by Evans Nimaku, who is the Director of Elections with the governing NPP. Mr. Gbande, good afternoon. Welcome to the Pulse. Right. Let me see if I can also bring in the NPP Director of Elections, Evans Nimaku. Mr. Nimaku, if you can hear me, good afternoon. Right, so we don't have them yet, but we'll bring them on so that they can tell exactly the reasons behind the position they've taken. But let me bring in David Agui, who is Executive Director, Ghana Institute of Governance and Security. David, you're welcome to the Pulse here on Joy News.
Yeah, thank you so much, Elton.
Are you in favor or against the proposal by the Electoral Commission to have the 2024 election move from December to November?
It depends on what the various political parties on the table during APAC and as to whether or not the parties will actually be in tandem or in support of the proposal put before the political parties. I say so based on the fact that I thought that the political parties should have been very proactive enough of setting a certain agenda for the Electoral Commission to actually follow. To set the agenda, the political parties need to evaluate the previous elections, especially election 2020, election 2016, and see what has been the challenges as far as the elections were actually concerned, and doing prognosis, then you will be able to say that, yes, going into 2024, these are some of the things that need to be tabled before the Electoral Commission for them to actually, consider it. Because if the political parties are able to do a comprehensive assessment of the previous elections, then they'll be able to analyze it very well and put something on the table for the Electoral Commission to also take it on board. But if the political parties are not doing that, and it is the Electoral Commission which is leading, then obviously what the Electoral Commission is putting on the table is what needs to be digested to be able to come out to the appreciation that, yes, it is good or not. So if you ask me specifically, I would say that as we speak now, it is all about the circumstances. If you looked at NDC agreement and NPP's agreement, it is all about who is to cheat each other as far as the election is concerned going into 2024. The ruling party will say that, yes, if it is November 7, they will appreciate it so much because the calculation is that if the election is to go into a runoff, the ruling party will have an upper hand over the opposition party. So the opposition parties are also afraid that if it is the ruling party setting the agenda for them, obviously going into the runoff, the ruling party has a lot of goodies. They have a lot of financial inducements, which they can package it very well to be able to win the election. So it is all about the advantages of both the major political parties, NPP, NDC. If it is put on 7th of November, the ruling party will be in a jubilant mood. And if it is put in the month of December, which is the normal election period here, I think that the opposition party will also support it. So, per my readings of what is happening, it is as a result of the fact that the political parties are not setting the agenda. And so it is the EC setting the agenda. That is how come this issue is creating a bit of controversies and misunderstanding.
I'll hear directly from the NDC the reasons for their opposition to this proposal by the Electoral Commission. But let me put in context that this is not new. But it's been on the book since 2015. The EC is only seeking to advance it. That is the explanation they've provided. And the reason is that if in the event of a runoff, it will provide them with ample time to plan and execute the runoff in a more transparent and effective way. That has been the writing principle behind the proposal by the EC to have this institutionalized. But remember that it is just going to be a simple walk in the park. I mean, this will have to require some constitutional amendments to make it binding.
I agree, because myself and you were assigned together 2015, 2008, and so that was the time that when the election went on runoff almost on 3 occasions, that was the time that the political parties realizes that they need to be able to put something on the table for Electoral Commission to actually deliberate as to whether they can actually shift the normal voting period in December to November, such that it can help the winner and the loser to also hand over, peacefully, because we realize that the handing over period, it is very, very short, and so if the timetable is shifted to November, it will give an ample time for the ruling party and the opposition party to, one way or the other, the handing over will be done, in a proper context.
David, let me ask a final question so that I can let you go. The other argument is also about whether 2024 is the ideal time, or perhaps we should set the framework and allow it to take effect in 2028. What is your position on this?
I strongly believe that Ghanaians are calling for a reform in our electoral process. And more to the point, our constitution, Ghanaians are saying that we need to amend the constitution. And so any political party who win the election 2024 has that onerous responsibility to ensure that we have referendum such that we can be able to amend the constitution. And amending the constitution, we should have a date that says that if it is November, we should have election in November. If it is in December, we should be able to maintain the status quo. But I strongly believe that if we are able to do it like the way other nations or other countries have done it, in the United States, for instance, they have Tuesdays. Most of the times they vote on Tuesdays, which any of the religious entities will not come to clamor to say that as for us, we are Adventists, as for us, we are Pentecostals, as for us, we are Orthodox churches here and there. So if we are able to formalize it in that way, such that holistically, we'll be able to put it into the Constitution or the amended version of the Constitution probably in 2025, I would prefer that one.
All right, thank you very much, David Agui. He is a executive director with the Ghana Institute of Security. You heard him make the point. But again, the Electoral Commission position is that this is a 2015 proposal that they are seeking to advance. And the expectation is that if this is able to go through the necessary constitutional amendments and it becomes law, then the election will move from December to November. In the event of a runoff, they will have ample time to plan and execute it, and also allow for smooth transition of power between the outgoing and the incoming. These are the parameters within which the Electoral Commission is seeking to move this. There's been concerns about whether or not 2024 is the ideal time, or the issues to consider moving into 2028, and whether and people are even questioning the rationale behind this whole exercise. We'll hear shortly from the NDC's Deputy General Secretary Musa Bugbande, who was at this IPAC meeting, and also hopefully hear what you think. You can send us your comments via our social media handles on Facebook, on X, and of course on our social media handles. But in the studio this afternoon is the Deputy General Secretary of the NPP, Mustafa Haruna. Mustafa, you're welcome.
Oh, that's Haruna Mohammed.
Haruna Mohammed.
Opposite side.
Sorry. Haruna Mohammed is the Deputy General Secretary of the NPP. We're going to talk about the weekend parliamentary primaries, but we were just on this subject matter that's also very of interest to the NPP. Your party has made it clear that they are in support of what the EC wants to do. Why is it so?
Thank you very much. I would first and foremost say good afternoon to your cherished viewers and the management of multimedia. I think that this proposal has been on the table for a long time, as you can hear from the Electoral Commission, that this is a 2015 proposal. And if you look at the contribution of the New Patriotic Party to political reforms in Ghana, we have continually made sure that either we are in government or in our opposition, we proffer better solutions to issues that affect negatively our political system or our election systems. So for Electoral Commission to come with this particular proposal, having decided that we are going to support this particular proposal, we went through and thought through a number of issues. One, you are talking about how power changes from one party to another or from one government to another in case it is the same party. It takes a number of time. The committees that are put in place needs to acquaint themselves with so many other handing over notes to be able to ascertain and verify some of these issues before governance starts. So given that particular time period, I think that it is very proper that if we are able to work out the constitutional modalities to be able to set this particular time, as David has said, so that we institutionalize the date so that at least it will not have any implication or any otherwise on the political system. So
therefore, your support in the direction relates to the timing and the flexibility within which the EC can operate and the political parties.
If you look at 2008, there was that possibility that we could even go extra runoff because we
actually went to 10.
Yes,
after the runoff.
After the runoff. So an extended period could give us ample time to be able to decide as to what happened. If you also look at other countries, the US and other, I think that they are doing in November.
Yes, it's in November.
And if you look at Nigeria, all of that, you factor that into it and look at the handing over time. It gives ample time for verification.
But the US, after the November, the swearing-in is in February. So it gives a lot of time for...
So a lot of time is there, verification. This is handing over. You need to read and read through, verify, and then be able to ascertain the veracity of many other issues, even if you are handing over to yourself. You need to verify a number of things that will be able to give you the opportunity to attend to them when you sit on the chair. So these issues put together, I think that will be able to help this country in terms of electoral reforms to be able to move on. The proposal of EC is not complete in its own,
right?
Because it has to go through some legal processes, as in going to Parliament.
Fortunately, this is not an entrenched clause, so therefore it doesn't require a certain number to get it amended.
But definitely it has to go.
Of course,
it has to go through some process. So it's a proposal. I believe that all of us, we can disagree to agree. And I think that particular process will definitely take its natural course.
Your opponents, the NDC, say that they are against it. One of the issues they are raising is about timing. They say that if they will consider it at all, let's look at 2028.
This is a proposal that was made in 2015. And you can see that they are the same party that was in government at that particular time. So if they are talking about timing, then the argument falls flat of the fact because they know exactly what it was when the proposal was brought up. This is not the first time we are discussing elections to be moved to 7th November. This is not the first time. 2015, it was an argument, and they were in power, and it was closer. We wanted it in 2016. It did not happen. This is the very time that all of us has to collectively agree to make sure that we agree and move it to that particular date and give it a constitutional backing so that it can solidify the force of the election process that we are all looking at for.
So therefore, are you hoping that the EC will fast track this so that it happens in 2024?
We need to build consensus, and that is why the NDC. Everybody will have to profile the reasons why they are either for or against. And I believe that when the NDC make their argument, and then we also make our argument, and the Electoral Commission also put forward, without other parties, it is not only NPP, NDC.
Exactly.
We have other stakeholders who will contribute, just as we have governance bodies, media, and what have you. All of us has to contribute to this discussion. And all of us contributing to it will shape the discussion forward and give us a very good side that we will all learn, and it will benefit the people of Ghana.
Now that we are discussing issues ahead of the December elections, I'm getting text messages, and I guess it's coming from people who live outside the country, and they are asking, now that you are before the Electoral Commission under the umbrella of IPAC, what are you also doing to ensure that the Representation of People's Amendment Law, ROPA, is also implemented this year? I don't know whether the party has a position on that.
We have always been the party. We're the first party to bring this particular matter up for us to give the opportunity to people living abroad to participate. As I sit here, I don't know the level at which this particular bill has reached, and I'm unable to proceed to be able to speak to that matter because I am not availed to the fact as to where the bill has reached, what is the current state of that, and then what next to happen. But as a party, we believe that it's a right thing, it's a good thing if it is also taken up quickly and looked at, so that we, the political parties, can make proper positions on this, and then this can be continued to be put into law.
All right, so Haruna Mohammed is the Deputy General Secretary of the NPP. He's here with me in the studio as we look at the current political issues. One is the just ended Inter-Party Advisory Committee meeting held under the auspices of the Electoral Commission, and the EC again brought forth the proposal to have the election date moved from December to November, and to also allow for the day to be declared a national holiday. They are seeking the buy-in of the political parties before perhaps the Attorney General takes a CI to Parliament to see to the amendment of the provision in the Constitution to allow it to materialize and institutionalize in our political calendar. The Electoral Commission, they are moving on with this proposal. The NDC, they made it clear that they are not in support of it, at least for now. Their position is that if they will support its implementation at all, it has to be in 2028 and not the 2024 election. The NPP, they've thrown their weight behind it, supporting 100% and saying that the EC should get the support of all the other political parties so that in December, rather it will come to November. So what exactly are people saying? What is the position of you watching us right now? We put the question to some Ghanaians on the streets of Accra, and this is the outcome of our poll. So the question was, the Electoral Commission is seeking to move election day from December 7th to November 7th. The EC also wants election day to be declared a public holiday. And 22 hours more left for you to respond to the question. But as at about an hour ago, 772 people have voted, and 32.3% are in support of the Electoral Commission's proposal to have the election moved from December to November. Those who are against it and want the status quo remain, they are 27.2%, and those who don't care at all, 40.5%. They don't care whether it is held in December or in November, 40.5%. So clearly, more like a divided opinion on that, and they are providing reasons why, whether they are for or against, or they don't really care, whichever date the EC settle on to hold the 2024 election. You can join you can go to our Facebook page, Joy News, and then respond to the question as you have put it, whether you want the elections held, whether you want the status quo remain, or you want the election held in November.